Greetings everyone, I'm Mar, and once again, this is my opinion. Been a while since I've done a video like this. As you can tell from the title up there, it is a first impressions one. It's going to be a, off the top of my head, off the cuff, whatever phrase you want to use. First impressions, my thoughts video of the new Halloween film. Now, this part is being recorded before I go inside and see the film. Let's just give a couple brief thoughts. Those of you who do not know, I'm new to the channel, haven't been watching for that long. I've always been a horror fan, so majority of my almost 30 years of life. I don't know what originally drew me to it. It's kind of hard to remember that far back. I would hypothesize it has to do with my older brother. He always liked horror films as well, so it's probably that whole younger brother emulating older brother trying to be cool. Yes, yes! Because I know he also got me into other things like Mortal Kombat, some action movies. I'd say mainly it was horror movies he got me into. And I also happened to be born at the right time. I was born in '89, so the ending period of the slasher genre, you know, it's a heyday, as it were. They were still making them, but this is when it was starting to slow down, not as profitable, but they were still making a lot of films like this. And plus, this is when they were being shown on TV a lot, and some of these series, such as Halloween, were still coming out. And then when I was getting old enough to watch and remember a lot of these films, what movie happened to come out? Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. The film that got me hooked on the Halloween series, as it were. I know some people will probably go, I'm sorry, but true, it's the one that got me hooked on it. And because of that, I do kind of have a nostalgic attachment to the film, even if I can say, yeah, it's not the best sequel in the series. And the whole cult idea, control Michael Myers, is stupid. Even though I will give it this, it is an attempt to connect Halloween, the whole Curse of Thorn thing, back to the Celtic roots of the festival of Samhain. That's right, it's pronounced Samhain for those of you who don't know, not Samhain. Celtic words, Gaelic, it's weird like that. You look at the spelling of the pronunciation, you're like... I didn't see the films in order, sadly. It's one of those things where the order I watched them was dictated by how they showed them on TV, when I managed to rent them and buy them. Like with the Nightmare on Elm Street films, the last one I saw was 4, which is kind of weird, but that's for another video. This one, I don't remember the exact order I saw them in, other than 6 was the first one. I believe next I saw 1 and 2. Of the original ones, 3 was the last one I saw, and I hated it at first. You know, the usual BS reason. You know, Michael Myers isn't in it. Watching with an adult mind, I've come to love the film. I think that after 2, I might have seen 4 and 5, and then gone back and watched 6, and then understand that film a bit more. And then I saw 7, I think around the same time it came out, so that might have been... I think I might have seen 7 before I saw 1 and 2. It's kind of hard to remember the exact order, but... Speaking of 7, this film, it's essentially, if you were to do H2O, 20 years after H2O was put, so 40 years after the original film, no connection to the previous films at all, and deleting the whole brother-sister connection. Which I understand why they did that, because John Carpenter has gone on record to state that he has always had mixed feelings about that, stating it's the result of writer's block, writing late at night, and too much beer. Now, I think he's a little bit too hard on himself, you know, self-effacement and being your worst critic. But I can also understand why he would have that. Like, sometimes I look at my stuff and go, really? I did that? What an idiot. But like I said, sometimes you're your worst critic. And I'll also give it this. Them not being brother and sister kind of makes Michael's motivation a little bit scarier. Because if there is no motivation, it's a lot scarier than if you do have a motivation. Even if the brother-sister connection is a decent motivation and you understand why Michael's doing it. As Loomis said in the second film, killed one sister 15 years ago, now he's trying to kill the other. Now with this one, we're going to see exactly what it is, because the trailers have given me some hints about how they're going to come back together. Laurie suffering from PTSD and all that. I will say this, just based on the trailer, I'm glad they're going in that same direction like what they did with H2O, but they're approaching it in a different manner. Instead of her being an addict, burying it with pills, and then having the whole I Told You show. So she's going more the Sarah Connor Terminator 2 route, but we'll just see how well it's executed. And I've heard mixed things about it. One of my friends hates the movie. Another one of my friends likes the movie, and then a channel I follow liked the movie as well. And he put it actually at his, I if I remember right, his third favorite in the series after 1 and 3. That's right, he put it above 2. I don't know if I'll put it above that, but I say that just based on what I've heard, I probably will rank it above 5, 6, and the 2 zombie ones. I don't think it will beat 1 and 2. It definitely won't beat 3. If it manages to at least tie 4 and 7, which I rank about evenly because of their issues, then I'll say that it is at least a success with me, if it at least matches that. If it surpasses that, then yeah, it definitely is, but that's the minimum I'm placing it. If it's below that, then it'll probably just be time waster unless I really hate it. Well, we're going to find out in 5, 4, 3, 2, you don't know what death is. And we're back. Just walked out of the theater a couple minutes ago, and short of it is, I like the film. I do have some issues with it, but I did like it. I will say my major issues is there were a couple moments where the cut from one scene to another felt a bit off. Like, really? That's how they switched it? That's a little weird editing. I don't know if they had to trim stuff or it's just the way they cut it just felt a little off. Couple moments the acting also felt a little bit awkward. One of them I will say fit the character, but it still felt awkward. I don't know if the actress is just not used to playing this type of character, or if she played it that way because of how she interpreted the final part with her character. Those of you who've seen the movie know what I mean. It's just one of those things like, okay, that's a bit off. Some parts of the dialogue, you can definitely tell that Danny McBride was one of the writers for this film. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing with these scenes is going to depend on what you were looking for in the film. Most of the ones I noticed are the ones involving the teenagers. It was like, teenage talk. Not as timeless as the original film, but I thought it was more tolerable than some of the antics in Rob Zombie's films, which is an aside. I will say this film, as a whole, despite these things I'm mentioning, is better than both of Rob Zombie's films. Which I know some people are going to say, oh, that's a low bar, that's easy to get over. I thought it was better than 5, and I thought it was better than 6. It's definitely not better than the first 3. Those 3 are still my 3 favorites. It might be, as a whole, on par with H2O. 4 I'm still thinking over, but I think it's at least on par with H2O as a whole. Because of those of you who haven't watched my review of that film, my main issue with that film is that I felt they were going for too much of a contemporary 90s horror feel, a la Scream, instead of trying to capture the series' essence. So it feels more like a Scream film, and replacing the score with bits of Scream 2 didn't help matters. And then seeing Michael's eyes way too often in that film, that goes under more of a nitpick, but like I mentioned in that video, I feel that if you're going to show Michael's eyes, it should be selective. You shouldn't see it in every freaking single shot that you see of him. That's why either mask, that was going to be an issue. This film, you only see Michael's eyes a couple times. In fact, you see his face more than you have before, but never in focus, which is like, alright, that's nice. If you're going to just show side parts of his face, that's the way to go. I'm not going to spoil the plot or go into it, but if you've seen the trailers, you get the gist. Laurie's been waiting 40 years for Michael to escape. He escapes, goes on a killing rampage again, and she's basically going to have to kill him. And that's the gist. And it kind of is H2O retooled in certain respects. I mean, Laurie is dealing with PTSD. She does drown it with alcohol a little bit in a couple scenes, but it's not like H2O where she's taking pills and drowning alcohol every scene. Almost every scene doesn't have the flashes of Michael that she did before, but she still has been preparing and a little worried about it. I mean, there's a scene where she's trying to go and follow the bus or wait for the bus, and she freaks out after the fact when she gets into contact with her family, like, I couldn't do it. The homage to H2O's bathroom scene, it's other than it being Michael in the bathroom, that's about it. Scenes were different other than that. We actually see someone killed this time. I'm not going to go into any details other than that, but from the trailer you could tell, you could see that. They kind of had a minor homage to the graveyard scene from the first film. But the scenes are a little different, but considering the characters involved, you can see that why they were going to do that. Good thing they didn't go with that, but I think they already had it in mind, and that's why they had him do it there. But that's still something in the final film there I got to mention. Here, You really feel the brutality. Even after Michael's been injured a lot, shot and stabbed, he's still coming in like a force of nature. The actor behind the mask. I know Nick Castle, in addition to doing some of the breathing scenes, he played him in one scene. I gotta figure out which scene it is. I think I know in the final film which one it is, but without hearing confirmation, it's just me speculating. Overall, I enjoyed the film. I mentioned my nitpicks. Probably gonna take a couple more watches to see what other things I have a problem with. Didn't mind the teens, even though there was a couple of little iffy things. The kills I thought were pretty good. The homages, a couple of them, that one could have been take it or leave it. Probably should have been on the cutting room floor. Jamie Lee Curtis's performance is the heart of this film. You can really tell she's fully in it. She's going a Sarah Connor, Terminator 2 on Michael's ass. And I think this should be a standalone sequel to the original film. I hear there's already talks of another sequel, and with how this film ends, I'm like, why? With how they got rid of Michael at the end, why? You can call that another homage, that's all I'm saying about it, but why a sequel to this? This should be the last one dealing with the original storyline. This should probably be the last Halloween film in general, but we all know, as Vincent Kennedy McMahon once said, it's all about the money. Well, we'll see if they do end up making another sequel or not. And I'll say this, though. This, Jamie Lee Curtis's performance, she has redeemed her resurrection cameo in my eyes. A lot better use of her talents here than there. As a whole, this film does come with my recommendation, but I could see it being one of those Halloween films that you either like it or you hate it. Like I mentioned at the beginning, one of my friends hates it, one of my friends likes it, and then one of the channels I follow likes it. So it's one of those. I don't think there'll be much middle ground area. Then, of course, in the end, she steps up and does combat him. It's a little bit more physical in this one. A little bit more brutal, too, to go with how brutal Michael is portrayed. That's one aspect they carry over from the zombie films, is how brutal Michael's kills are. You really feel it. Because there's one scene where he stomps a man's head. That is brutal. And just the way it was shot, like, ooh, that's good. Now, I know Carpenter was involved, and I know he prefers suggestion and theater of the mind, but the way they shot these ones, you get that brutality, but you also, in certain scenes, you also get a little bit of that, but there's certain scenes where you also see the full impact. Another thing is, this is one of the best masks that they've ever done. It definitely looks like the original mask, aged 40 years. That's one of the issues I have with a lot of the sequels, even the ones I like. Like, I still love Halloween 4, but that mask sucked. The mask that they originally got that was the wrong color with the blonde hair, I thought looked better. They should have just gone with that, just repainted the face and just kept the blonde hair. That would have been a unique look for that film. The Halloween 5 mask, I don't mind. I know a lot of people hate it, but I like it better than 4. 6 mask is okay. Then, of course, I've already talked about the whole H2O kerfluffle. Resurrection, the mask is probably one of the best things about that film, even though you see Michael's eyes a little bit too often again. I'd say, other than the original one, this is the best mask. In addition to being one of the executive producers, John Carpenter returned to score the film, and I thought he did a pretty good job. It definitely feels like he is the one behind the keyboard. There's a lot of times where he's reusing some of the same cues, but there were also some cues I don't remember from the original film, like one that sounds like a bass horn, like a big bass note done electronically, which I thought that was interesting. And just aspects of the score, how he retooled it, like the Halloween theme. It's always done on a piano, more like a keyboard, but there was parts of it where he did a slower tempo one on an actual piano. I like that. I'd actually like to listen to the score individually, just see how it sounds just without the film. You can definitely see that this film used what its budget was. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it was at least $10 million, if not a bit more than that. You can definitely see it on screen, especially in the kill moments. The cinematography, I thought, was also great. I mean, we've seen some of it in the trailers, that long trailing shot of Michael going into the house. That was a good shot, and a lot of other shots. There's moments where there's quick cuts, too. But it didn't really distract me that much. Done in a respectful way, not a way that you're like, at least it didn't take me out of the film. Now, the opening part, that's one of the jarring parts, how it cuts from trying to get Michael to react to the homage opening credits, which is homage to the original credits. You can always tell it's a CG pumpkin, but considering it's a pumpkin unsmashing. They could have done it in stop motion, but you know how today's people, we gotta do it CGI. Now, since I mentioned homages, there are a lot of homages to past films in this one, which is going to be a take it or leave it thing. You're going to either find it distracting or you're going to enjoy it. I enjoyed them. I mean, I think they had a little bit too many of them, but I enjoyed it for what it was. You can definitely tell it was written by fans of the series. The one that I think they kind of could have cut out was the one that was a homage to the beginning of Halloween 2. That one you really didn't need, other than to increase the body count, which, it's a slasher film, you got to have a body count, but I think even without that, the body count was pretty good. There's that one scene with the closet from the trailers, which I think they probably shouldn't have had that in the trailer. That scene kind of felt like a darker version of the scene from the Monster Squad where the kid says mummy's in his closet, and then that one is played more for laughs. Ooh, look at that big scary monster. This one they do play a little bit for laughs, and then it takes a dark turn, as you see in the trailer. And that leads to a little aside. That kid that she's babysitting in that scene, he's one of the smartest characters in the freaking movie. He hightails it out of there, and he even tells another character, run or you're going to get killed. And the guy gets killed. Off screen, but he gets killed. We see the aftermath. Smartest guy. And the kid character is going to be a take it or leave it one, whether you like him or hate him. I was in the middle on him. I could kind of see why some people would hate him, but I chuckled with his dialogue. Michael does have a new doctor in the film. I'm not going to say much about his arc because that'd be a major spoiler I don't want to go into, but it's an arc that I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting. That's a little different. Something a little bit new. The way they're going with how he's trying to get into Michael's head. He's going at it from a more actual medical viewpoint instead of Loomis's old, he's pure evil, which, of course, we go with that because it's Loomis and it's Donald Pleasence and he sells it well. But actually hearing another voice trying to describe Michael was interesting. We've seen some of it before, but mainly as Loomis's colleagues, like the doctor from Part 4. Michael Myers was a clinical patient. Was a federal patient. Whereas this one, hearing him trying to figure out what is going on in Michael's head, the whole predator-prey dynamic, which ties into the little battle Michael has with Laurie in the end. You definitely feel that it's like, which one of these is the predator and which one is the prey? Another little thing from H2O to say is, I think they actually portrayed Michael better here than there. Because other than the mask, there were some things, something about the way that actor moved at times. I'm like how Michael sat up at the end. That I think probably might have to do with a COD and his little thing, trying to go with the whole copycat angle. Which, I just shake my head at that. That was a stupid idea.